Elemental Shaman, Warrior, and it's quite frankly, this is just one of those rosters that have a lot of different comps that they can run. So the blind pick should be really, really interesting between these two teams, but I wouldn't really say that either one of these teams has a huge advantage going into this blind pick. We'll see who can come up with a better composition.
Yeah, we certainly will. Loser of this series, unfortunately knocked out of the tournament. Winner moves forward in the lower bracket. It's game number 1 of the day, looking for Org versus Tegridy Damp.
Let's see what they decide to start out with. Looks like they're going to be playing what I think a lot of teams would consider the meta, that Windwalker, Fire Mage, Holy Paladin on the side of LF Org. Tegridy Damp sticking to their guns, though, bringing in Walrix on what is likely the Affliction Warlock, back on the Elemental Shaman. This could be a tough matchup for Walrix on Warlock. I'm curious to see how he deals with the pressure.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of pressure here. Windwalker, Fire Mage, Paladin, just such a strong comp. It did so well in both regions, last cup. And we are going to see Blackfire here, not on the Moonkin. He's going to be coming in here on his main, which is that Fire Mage. And they're going to be leading the charge here. Going to be looking for a Polymorph here, but he does get interrupted there by Baka after he uses the Blink there as well. So for the team of Tegridy Damp, it's all about just surviving these setups. Right now, Baka forced to run away here immediately, trading out his Trinket and that Astral Shift. So a pretty strong opener. Now let's see if Tegridy Damp can counter-attack.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely have to see what Baka can get done. You see some Lava Burst flying in, but not really amounting to too much. Walrick, in this particular matchup, is going to struggle to find pressure. It's going to be, basically, Walrick has to get some nice crowd control, maybe rot people down a little bit, but it's going to be up to Baka. And I think that's why we're kind of seeing LF Org at this point in the game go after that Elemental Shaman, because so early on, it's going to be really difficult. Lucy getting really low. Karma trades out. Are they going to use the Blessing Protection? Doesn't look like it just yet, so Lucy should be able to sustain. Warwick has to play a little bit of catch-up here and actually top off Lucy on that Windwalker Monk, who's still kind of struggling. Walrus causing a lot of pressure, a bit unexpected here, and LF Org's going to have to back off, and they trade up the sacrifice as well. So overstaying their welcome in the open, LF Org now has to play a little bit of defense.
I like how Tegridy Damp are playing the matchup. So when you're facing a Holy Paladin, you're not really going to create spread pressure with the Shadow Resistance aura and their powerful healing. So they're focusing crowd control instead on the Paladin and the Mage, spamming hexes, taking the Mage out of the game, spamming Fear on the Paladin, Hammer of Justice on the Paladin, and trying to maybe bait Unstable Affliction to spells. And they're single targeting the Windwalker and trying to compromise his positioning. That is likely the only real weakness that they can exploit, is that they're both ranged. So I Love Lucy's going to have to overextend. So looking to exploit his positioning, single target, burst him down. Main problems with that strategy is that Affliction Warlocks are not good at doing that. They don't do a lot of single target damage. So despite this being likely their only way to victory, it's going to be very hard for them to pull off. But they have been showing opportunities here. Lucy's health has been spiking, but here comes Combustion. Big play from Blackfire here, but Borug is now in a Fear. I Love Lucy's going to retreat back to the pillar. I like the positioning here from LF Org. As soon as their Paladin's in crowd control, just get back to the pillar, line of sight. Walrix is pushing up on them. They're utilizing that Elemental Shaman Earthquake down on the ground to try and stun and interrupt some casts here, prevent them from turtling. But now that they've recovered, it's time to move in. Blackfire, Vulpin, Night Fae Mage moving in towards Fnobbers, but I Love Lucy gets intercepted by a Lightning Lasso around the corner. Walrix trying to get back in the fight. Baka's trying to reposition away from the Windwalker. Unable to escape at this time, but Borug is getting swapped to, and Tegridy Damp are keeping it interesting.
A lot of pressure here. I like what they're doing, pressuring the Windwalker, getting some swaps here over onto Borug, but once again, Baka had to use his Astral Shift there. Did not have to use his Trinket though on that stun, so small victory for him, and Tegridy Damp are gonna be pretty happy and comfortable so far. Blackfire right now, just trying to get his combustion back. You can see every time he presses that fireball, his combustion is gonna go down by about 5 seconds, and Borug here taking a decent amount of pressure from dispelling that UA. Warwick just being super aggressive here, looking for the Shadow Fury. It's two people there behind the pillar, going for the full Fear here onto Borug. And Lucy, you should not be pushing in right now. Your healer is caught in cross crowd control there across the map. Blackfire now looking for a sheep here onto Warwick. He gets it. And now back as well, looking for a hex. So both of these teams just trying to set up, but now they do get the sheep here onto Borug, and Baka has to Trinket immediately there on the leg sweep, and that was the combustion there of Blackfire. And if Baka can only trade his Trinket for that, that is a great trade for Tegridy Damp. They're even getting a little bit of pressure onto I Love Lucy, and it looks like I Love Lucy actually gonna just shove his Karma here offensively and try to keep up the momentum. Fnubber still in crowd control with that Hammer of Justice. Both teams doing a lot of damage here. It's a bit of a race situation, but Snobbers does come out there, doesn't need to trade his trinket, manages to top off that elemental shaman, and now once again, Tegridy Damp here in a commanding position.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I really like the way Baka is playing this matchup, just constantly dragging Lucy, creating pressure on him with a lightning lasso, really just reacting to these situations beautifully. And you can see Fnobbers, his mana still looking good, all his defensive cooldowns still available. But this is the problem. I mean, for Tegridy Damp, actually closing out the game is really difficult. If LF Org wants to, they can just run, hide behind the pillar for an extended period of time. And I feel like Lucy getting really greedy here. Does push out into the open. Big heals coming in from Barug, but if Lucy doesn't have defensive cooldowns, he does have Diffuse Magic right now, but when those cooldowns aren't available, they can just line of sight, and that's the thing that scares me for Tegridy Damp in this matchup, is if the Windwalker Fire Mage Paladin wants to, they can just run, hide behind the pillar, be very safe and self-sustaining, and then go for those big one-shots. And eventually, if one of those one-shots connects, they can end up closing out the game. But if you see LF Org kind of bait themselves in the open, they're going for it right now. Baka caught into a full leg sweep, big burst damage coming in. Nobbers forced to trade out the sacrifice, but it's not the ultimate sacrifice. It looks like Baka will end up getting topped off anyways as we enter into dampening.
Walrus is counter-pressuring, trying to scare his opponents with Dark Soul during their push. And it looks like with good cooldown trades and that threat of Walrus's damage, they are going to deflect that big Zwen combustion combo. That's going to be when Blackfire and Lucy do the most damage in the game. And that's roughly every 2 minutes for Lucy's Zwen. But at the moment, Fnobbers needs to avoid crowd control. Baka's trying to help him out with some wind shears. Fnobbers wraps around the corner. Lightning Lasso pins Lucy. Borog dispelling a UA on a fear. Lucy dips very low here. Baka gets interrupted on a Hex. Blackfire trying to set him back, but now Walrus could free cast. What's he going to be able to get done? He fears the Windwalker. Borug is charging in on top of Fnobbers. Likely looking for a Hammer of Justice. No, just repositioning. Fnobbers going to try and get away from Borug. Does not want to get stunned. Borug is just chasing Fnobbers right now, but now gets feared up on his Hammer of Justice. Fnobbers looks like he gets Imp Dispelled out of that Hammer of Justice. Interesting build here from Walrix, trying to break up crowd control. Likely this single target strategy from Tegridy Damp is going to shift into multi-target, deeper into dampening. I could see them dotting Paladin, Mage, and Monk over the next couple of minutes and just focusing a ton of damage. Whoa! That's going to be a KO. Stormkeeper from Baka, and that's the kill. And Tegridy Damp take game one.
That is such a scary thing.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that's a bit unbelievable. I mean, if we look at the replay, did he dispel UA? Or what even happened there?
He got blasted.
The Lava Burst Lottery.
Yeah.
All right. There it is. I mean, you blink and you're going to miss the end of the game. Tegridy Damp playing his game number 1 in the blind deck.
Also, just as a reminder for those watching from home, that was a bit of a UI bug. We're going to try and get it fixed here. They're not all playing Necrolord. If you want to go to awc.gcd.tv, you can see the exact covenants that they did choose, or you can go to that bottom bar down below, and there should be a link there. But here are the match results, and I just feel like looking back at that last game, it kind of seemed like Baka was the MVP of game number 1.
Yeah, Baka had such great positioning. He reacted very, very early. Anytime he would be in trouble, he would just trade, kind of read the situation perfectly. He had good, placements with his gateways. And here, this is kind of the moment here towards the end. Borg is just charging across the map. Baka faking out some interrupts here, faking out the Hex here, looking for something here onto Blackfire. And eventually he does juke out those interrupts, gets the Hex onto Blackfire, and then Borg gets feared up here with a full row of dots here. Now Baka taking some damage there, and again just good defensive play there once again with that thunderstorm. And here Borg, when he's running away, he gets, there it is, the Stormkeeper, there's the Sky Fury, and here we go, Lava Burst, and there's the Stormkeeper trap as well. And that's just the Lava Burst lottery, just hitting the jackpot right there.
That was like a Gatling gun of Lava Burst. That was insane.
It was a lightning bolt too at the end there.
Man, that's a lot of power coming out of that LA Shaman. Also, we're kind of used to seeing, coming off of that season from BFA, we're used to seeing those warlocks alongside mages. But why are we seeing their success here alongside an LA Shaman, CPTs?
I mean, Warlock Mage, Aflock is just not that bursty at the moment, and Destro Warlock is a little bit too slow now, so being able to cast Chaos Bolts as opposed to being able to instantly lob out damage, there's a big trade-off there. So Destro is not really seeing a ton of play in tournament. I see it occasionally on the ladder, but not a ton in tournament. And then now Affliction Warlock is known for multi-target damage, which if you're a mage and you want to polymorph, that's going to remove the Affliction Warlock's damage over time effects. Your Warlock's not going to like you very much, so in the past, we've seen Mage Warlock work, but I think that was when mages also had stun, like Deep Freeze. But when you play that, there's not really a consistent stun, and the mage is just sheeping your dots off, so it's kind of this anti-synergy. There's not enough lockdown. So playing with an Elemental Shaman that just does a ton of damage supports you as an Affliction Warlock doing a ton of damage.
Plus, always good to have a player like Wally Zico on the Warlock. I mean, you can't really go wrong with that guy.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna have a Warlock on your roster, and right now I kind of recommend a little bit against it, but if you are gonna do that, then definitely want to have somebody like Warwick's on that Warlock. He's always been holding it down and always been doing such a good job with that class. And I mean, I gotta say though, Baka he was kind of the big player there at the end. Just managed to get his big combo off there, and I think they actually killed the Sky Fury as well, but. Didn't really matter. He just procced enough overloads and took his enemy out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even if that starts to go wrong, they've got 4 players here. That is definitely not all they have in their composition pool. Tegridy Damp looking super solid already in this series, Sven. What do we expect looking for Org to respond with here?
Honestly, I feel like that composition's good into what Tegridy Damp is running. I would be amazed if they switched, because I think at this point, LF4 picked that composition. It's like custom tailored to take down exactly what Tegridy Damp is running. Theoretically, you should be able to live for a really long time, and then in dampening, you can just overwhelm with single target damage. The one thing that is kind of annoying for Blackfire in this matchup is they don't have a hex to spell for him. So Elemental Shaman, very disruptive to that Fire Mage, especially if you can be landing those hexes consistently.
Whoa.
They're actually going
to... That's a first.
This is exciting,
That's
First.
We were actually discussing this. Subities and I were discussing this yesterday when we were playing why we haven't really seen too many enhancement shamans. But yeah, I mean, LF Org, I think they're going to be the first one to actually bring in the enhancement shaman. I think it's strong, and this cleave setup should be really good into what Tegridy Damp is running. You have the offensive dispel, you have a lot of burst damage. When you drop your Wind Fury totem every minute with the legendary proc it's going to be running, more than likely, you'll get Doom Winds, which really empowers his damage, and that's going to be such a scary moment for Fnobbers, Walrick, and Baka in the match. You're going to have to consistently look out for that.
Yeah, excited. You guys are definitely right. First time we're going to be able to see an enhancement shaman here on the side of looking for Org. Not something that we even really saw much last year as well. So we're going to have to see here how they do with this Windwalker enhancement composition here. Double melee as well in Blackrock Hold, Supatees. Do you feel like this is a good map here for either team? Are they going to be an advantage, or how are we feeling here?
I feel like they could have gone for Hook Point if they wanted to do this cleave matchup. Maybe they didn't want it to be obvious, but at the same time, what is Tegridy Damp going to pick other than this? So I think that Hook Point would have been a better pick. This isn't terrible, but there's there's a wall that you can port behind, and you can completely escape from damage, which is very important against Enhancement Shaman. If you get away for even 1 second, you can just shut down their entire burst window. So this map could backfire on them if Walrix has good portal positioning. I'm also curious if they even decide to go on the Warlock. We haven't seen this composition in a tournament setting. It can definitely eradicate Clothies. There's a ton of physical damage, and when you pop Ascendance, it's almost a guaranteed kill. So if they aren't ready for it, if Knobbers isn't ready for it, this could end quickly.
Yeah, we'll have to see here how they do on Blackrock Hold. But yeah, Zico, and with these caster compositions as well, there's kind of a lot of room. This wasn't their map choice here on the side of Tegridy Damp, but there's kind of a lot of room for them to work around here in positioning, especially given the composition that looking for Org is locked in.
Yeah, I mean, I think the map is going to be... It's not the worst. Like, it's kind of one of those maps that can really backfire, because on one end you have that Warlock, and he's going to be able to be in the middle and then teleport, like Sid mentioned, behind that kind of gate in the starting room. And if he does that, he's going to be completely safe. But on the flip side, You're also going to be playing against the Windwalker. He can do the same thing. And as we all know, the Windwalker, he's kind of the janitor of the team. He's the one who has that key. He has that Ring of Peace. If Warwick decides to port behind there, he can just drop a Ring of Peace on the exit and say, well, you're stuck here with me now. And it's going to be interesting to see.
Janitor.
I'm going to be honest, I don't think Sid likes your analogy very much.
The janitor.
Well, I thought it was.
The
I thought
janitor.
it was good.
All right, here we go.
Don't let him
Procket's
steal
going to be
your
moving in.
shine.
So 2 key things in this matchup that are going to make it a lot easier for Procket and Lucy to actually stay on target. Lucy's playing Ride the Wind. So against Affliction Warlocks, it seems like that Ride the Wind, giving you basically freedom from snares, is really powerful against the Affliction Warlock right now, as the legendary they run causes their corruption to snare. And in addition to that, Procket's going to be able to purge. So being able to purge off freedoms on whoever they go after is going to be really, really nice. Lucy getting really low. Sacrifice trades out. And keep in mind that Enhancement Shaman has a lot of off-healing, similar to a Retribution Paladin. Mana is definitely a factor, though, for Procket. So when you see his mana bar get low, he's not going to be able to assist his team with healing. But when he has it, he can throw in big off-heals to assist Barug to keep his team alive.
I like these hexes on the Shaman. This is nice crowd control from Tegridy Damp here, going after Borug, but even with 1 second out of crowd control, Borug just tops himself with a single Holy Shock. Lucy pillars at center pillar, gets windshield for a moment, actually charging back in on Tabaka, interrupting him, trying to stay on target. Not nearly as an explosive start as I was anticipating from LF Org with this composition, considering they've blown Zwen already. They're really banking on this ascendance from Procket. However, if it doesn't get pressure, I'm worried for their composition.
Yeah, we're going to see now. So Fnobbers is actually playing Repentance here, which is kind of interesting. We're going to be seeing Fnobbers potentially push in for that Hammer of Justice and that Repentance. You can see him right now riding in here on his Divine Steed, and he's going to look for the Hammer of Justice. Then he's going to try to position himself here for the Repentance. There we go. Is he going to land it? He does land it. And now Procket in big trouble right there. Morag, though, does break out of there. I do believe, I'm actually not sure what broke that, but he is going to be able to survive there. And Procket also having to use his trinket. Borog already using his trinket and that sacrifice in the opening stages there. So right now, I would say Tegridy Damp are the ones kind of leading in terms of pressure. But this could all change in, just a split second. That Windwalker and that Enhancement Shaman, they're getting some uptime finally here onto Procket. And that's going to be, or onto Baka, sorry. And that's going to be extremely scary. Borog taking a lot of damage there from that dispel on UA. And look at that positioning between Warwicks and Fnobbers. Fnobbers on one side spamming out the Repentance, and Warwicks on the other side spamming out the Fear. He gets Borog here in a full Howl of Terror, triple Fear. Fnobbers now looking for the Repentance, trinkets aggressively to land it, but they get caught up in a double blind into the Hammer of Justice there. So Borog here definitely in a kind of pincered behind the corner, but he responds very well, and that's going to net them the Astral Shift of backup.
I kind of wonder about the targeting in this matchup. Why going? I guess the Elemental Shaman, like you kind of mentioned, is the one that is most likely to end the game by getting off big damage. So if you can stop him, then maybe you can just prolong yourself. But I feel like Walrick in general, he's getting out so much crowd control in this matchup. Look at Barug just spam feared the whole game. Big damage coming in from Walrick as well. There's going to be a big momentum swing here if Barug is just continuously caught in crowd control, and he is. Full Hammer of Justice into a potential Repentance here. Then Procket is just getting drained. His life! He could get taken down. Bach putting in big damage as well. Good off-healing coming in. Sacrifice as well from Barug will keep him alive, but this strategy is not working. I feel like if this just keeps playing out this way, the LF Org is going to be losing this game. I really think they should consider going after Walrick in this matchup. The classes that they have aren't bad for it, and I feel like right now he's punishing them so much.
I mean, they are winning on mana if they can keep them on. Maybe they just get a kill here. Hammer of Justice on Fnobbers, back at half health. Goes for Lightning Lasso, double Howl of Terror. Beautiful peels from Baka and Walrix, totally shutting down this assault. However, the damage might still be here. Baka down to half once again, positioned on the Demonic Gateway. Pressure across the board. Walrix is absolutely sinking his teeth in at the moment. With Dark Lair available, I'm curious to see when he decides to pop it, extending all of his dots. Zwen coming up in 18 seconds. Ascendance coming up. That's going to be LF Org's big opportunity to close the game if they can survive to that point. Constantly under fire. Borog retreating back to the pillar. Baka trading cooldowns here up in the Astral Shift. Ring of Peace trying to bounce Baka away from the Demonic Gateway. However, it's prior to their cooldowns. May not have been 100% necessary. Borog and Hammer of Justice into a Howl of Terror. Tremor Totem out of range. Procket tries to defensively hex, but he's interrupted. Now getting bursted down in the Lightning Lasso. This could be a very scary moment for LF Org, already down 1 point in the series in an elimination round. If they lose 2 more games, they will be out of the tournament.
Yeah, really scary moment. Procket still. Divine Favor heal coming in from Baruch. He actually goes for a Dispel as well. Every time you Dispel that UA, you are going to be taking a bunch of damage, so have to be careful. Bloodlust comes in from Procket as they look to get really aggressive here, but great kiting from Baka. As you can see, just using the gateway, escaping into the room, and now Lucy just getting caught into the fears over and over, and these fears are just so punishing coming in from Walrick in this matchup. Back getting a lasso right now on a Procket as well, as they struggle to reconnect to the target, finally getting there, but basically, the Enhancement Shaman cooldowns are gone. They completely cut it out, that Bloodlust, and Procket, unfortunately, really able to not get that much damage out. But if we look at mana, surprisingly, Fnaubers and Baruch kind of even. Baruch a little bit ahead, and that might be a factor in this match. If Lucy and Procket can just stay alive, stay on target, do damage, they might be able to just run Fnaubers out of mana in this matchup, and he might not have a moment to actually sneak away and drink as we step foot into Dampening.
Yeah, and we're going to see now Borg actually still in a lot of crowd control here. Full Repentance being landed. This is a very scary moment for Lucy here. Lucy's going to have to trinket and trade out the Touch of Karma, but they might actually go through it here. Warwick's following up the chain there, but he does get paralyzed there finally. Still doing a lot of damage here right now with his Dark Soul. Big damage here from both sides. Back as well, dropping dangerously low there for a second. And now here comes the Ascendance of Procket. They need to peel this immediately. Back right now, a scared little wolf running back to the pack here. The flip side of the map, like just trying to line of sight everybody here. Lucy though still chasing him down. Backer going for the hex, gonna get interrupted here, and now here comes the Fist of Fury. Big damage here onto Baka. Warwick's fishing for some crowd control. He gets the Shadow Fury onto Borug into a full fear here. Borug with the mana lead right now, so honestly Borug could just manage to win this game on mana here if he can keep his mana ahead of Fnaubers, and right now it's looking likely. He's got his bubble, he's got basically all of his breakers that he needs, and he should be able to keep his two melees mobile and alive for the remainder of this match. Baka is still taking a lot of damage here, trading out the Astral Shift now at this point. Rocket gonna get peeled here from Warwicks, and it's gonna be all up to Warwicks at this point. He's gonna need to land a big CC, and they're gonna need to take somebody down with big pressure. Here we go. They're going for it right now. Baka just trying to gate to safety here, potentially looking for a lasso. He gets caught in the leg sweep, trinkets out. Lucy very, very low, gets the Blessing of Protection here. Still dropping super low here from the damage. There's the lightning lasso.
Oh my god!
So much damage. Dispels the UA, and there is the diffuse magic as well. Lucy's gonna hang on by the skin of his teeth, Sid.
Walrix is just letting loose right now, but Borug, Divine Shield, they trade, they survive. If they can hold on a little bit longer. Actually, mana is evened out now. Tegridy Damp slightly in the lead thanks to that push from Walrix. He's got Dark Soul coming up. He's hunting down Borug. Is he going to go for it? They're right on top of him. He's got no trinket, no bubble. One Hammer of Justice. Borug's going to get taken out here. Lucy rotting down, Procket rotting down. Dampening definitely pain in favor of Tegridy Damp so long as they can hold it together here. Baka's defense looking limited. They spam fear on Procket, waiting for Hammer of Justice from Fnaubers, but he's playing Repentance, so it's a very long cooldown. 3 more seconds to go. 2 more seconds. Can they set up for the kill here? Malefic Rapture, Malefic Rapture, Malefic Rapture. Walrix is absolutely decimating everybody on LF4, going for the Howl of Terror into a full Repentance. Lucy teleports, but Procket's left out and gets blown up. Tegridy Damp go to match point.
Tegridy Damp looking so good in this match, especially Walrick. I mean, Walrick really set up his team there. Multiple moments in the game where he's just getting out so much crowd control and so much pressure. And that's what happens. If you leave an Affliction Warlock alone, they are going to be able to really set up their team. And that's exactly what we saw. Like you said, Tegridy Damp now at match point. They're looking great in this series.
Just explosive game 1 and game 2 from this team. Tegridy Damp here up 2-0. Here's that replay as well. We can see those final moments from Looking for Org.
This was just so back and forth here, and you can see Warwicks and Fnaubers, they're just kind of bullying Borg around that pillar. Always, Warwick on one side, Fnaubers looking to push in for the other side. Right now, Warwick's just spamming out the fears. He realizes that, hey, my shaman is in big trouble here. I got to do something here to keep him alive. Baka just trying to build up distance, trying to kite away here. He knows that the push is coming. He knows that Bloodlust from the Enhancement Shaman is coming back off cooldown, but there it is. The CC chain gets initiated, and look at Warwick just having a field day there with that Dark Soul, and then of course back as well, dropping down that Sky Fury totem,
look at
trying
that.
to assist, and look at the damage. I guess that's what you were saying, man.
I mean, look at Walrick's damage. He did more damage than the entire team of Procket, Lucy, and Burr combined. So looking really good in this matchup so far, and that's the thing. Affliction Warlocks, if they can free cast, their damage ends up being significant, especially when you see that Drained Soul. It ends up doing a ton of damage. That's where we almost see the triple kill. So I feel like if they run the same matchup, I think they could win, but I really think they should at least try to go after Walrick. But I mean, Affliction Warlocks are quite slippery as well. They have a lot of mobility that's been added back in Shadowlands, so it can make them a really difficult target, especially playing Night Fae with the Soul Shape. So well, we'll have to see if they can do that or if they're going to run with a new composition.
Yeah, I mean, even if they didn't win on that setup, it just seemed like that they were kind of running out of resources on the side of looking for. We saw both of those, the mana bars dripping super low, but also Supatis. Did you see the off healing on the Enhancement Shaman?
Yeah, we were looking at the Warlock's damage, but we didn't look at the Enhancement Shaman doing almost as much damage as healing. 670k, like both across the board. So half of Walrick's damage was dealt with by Procket's healing, and then half of that from the Windwalker monk. So it kind of evens out, although his damage is up there. That's probably why Borug's mana was in such a good position with his teammates assisting him with the healing. Otherwise, I mean, then the 1.4 million from Walrick's would likely have landed a bigger dent, but their goes were just a bit too predictable from my point of view. Every time Fnabbers would just trinket sacrifice Ascendants, and then nothing would happen. We wouldn't see anything. So I feel like I don't know how they can make that more threatening. Maybe they need to swap targets, beta target with Ascendant, sacrifice, swap to the Paladin or something. But it just became very predictable. Just we're only attacking the Ellie. We're gonna always pop our cooldowns on the Ellie. You know when it's coming, and that just made it really easy for Tegridy Damp.
Okay, well, we can see both compositions here. Looks like Looking for Org has locked in Dalaran Sewers, and they're having Blackfire on that Fire Mage, Zico.
Yeah, I think, honestly, this is not a bad matchup at all, but I'm curious here why Warwick hasn't been tested whatsoever, because I feel like the Warlock is a better target. Like, if we look at this matchup, how it played out in game number 1, they would go, Snowburst would use his Trinket and Sacrifice, Baka would use his Trinket and his Ascendance, and that would kind of be it, and then they would just keep rotating those. But if you're going for the Warlock, you're going to have a tougher time sticking on the target. But whenever that Warlock gets pinned down, he's going to be taking a lot more damage. And also, his cooldowns are longer. That Unending Resolve is going to be a 3-minute cooldown. That Healthstone, he's going to have to, drop out of combat to be able to use it again and things like that. So I feel like if you're going after Warwicks, it's going to be a higher risk, but also a much higher reward. And I think you're always running that risk of somebody's going to get one-shot by the Ellie Shaman. And I mean, even if you're going for him, that's going to be, that happens. So I feel like at this point, I want to see them just chase down Warwick and see what happens with that.
And how doable is that here on this map then? I mean, especially, they have a Windwalker, so making that connection shouldn't be too difficult.
No, I mean, I think in general with that Warlock Legendary, that just slows everybody with Corruption. It is going to be pretty tough, but you have a lot of mobility on the side of LF Org, and you have freedom as well, right? So you have I Love Lucy, he can use Tiger's Lust. You're going to have Org with his freedom, and you're going to have, a mage that can blink around. He's playing Night Fae as well, so he's going to have that Soul Shape. So you're going to be a little bit limited with your mobility cooldowns, but every time those are up, you can definitely close that distance. The map itself is very small as well, so I think this is a great map to do it on.
I think so as well. Let's see if Tegridy Damp is going to 3-0 or is Looking for Org going to figure something out here with this Windwalker Fire Mage. It is game number 3.
I feel like if you're a Windwalker and you're not attacking a Warlock, like you've just already messed up. Like the whole strategy is just off if you're not going after the Warlock. It's likely, I feel like, one of the hardest specs to deal with. Maybe Walrix has some tricks up his sleeves that a lot of other Warlocks don't utilize or something, and that's why they're kind of respecting not going after him. The only other thing would be that the Elemental Shaman can actually erase you if you're left open, whereas the Aflock doesn't really do too much. I think that's the bigger reason why they're going after the Elemental, but he's much harder to kill than the Warlock, so we'll have to see how it plays out. They're on match point, and they are going after the Elemental Shaman again here. Locked in a Lightning Lasso, interrupted. Fnabbers in a leg sweep. I like this punish by Lucy, getting that double into a double Ring of Frost. Excellent setup. Unfortunately, the Ring of Frost ending prematurely. I think that is likely because Walrix is running an Imp so he's able to dispel magic effects. Baka interrupted, Fnaber's falling behind, even despite having his Avenging Wrath up, trying to power through the rest of that Zwen, managing to survive. This time around, LF Org are splitting up their cooldowns. Combustion is still available. Now popped! Big damage swap onto Fnaber's Meteor cracks. He's going to Divine Shield, immediately respecting that huge amount of damage. I like that trade from Fnaber's, not under-responding. However, if they don't protect him appropriately, his team could be in trouble moving forward.
I really like that. I mean, you talked about it, splitting up your cooldowns and also mixing up your targeting. Like, their goes for the first 2 games were very, very predictable, and I like the fact that they were able to mix it up, go after Fnaber's, put him in a Hammer of Justice, and then kind of just swap to him. I mean, most of that damage came in from Blackfire. Big Meteor with Combustion was able to force out the Divine Shield, and that I mean, we see that consistently in this matchup, and I feel like LF Org, they're going to be looking good, but Lucy has to survive. He's caught into a stun. Unfortunately, Walrix is not there. Is he going to be able to get off any crowd control? Let's see a big Howl of Terror going out onto the entire team. That looks like Tegridy Damp will be able to stabilize. Baka going for a big one-shot here on Barug. A repeat of game number 1, potentially. Barug should be able to survive, going for a big Holy Light, dispelling UA, feeling comfortable so far in the match. But for LF Org, what I really want to see is just mix up the targeting, do Paladin swaps. I think if they can get crowd control on Walrix and Baka and go after the Paladin, that's going to be a ticket for success.
Yeah, and we are seeing a lot of pressure here onto I Love Lucy right now. And honestly, it feels like Tegridy Damp are still kind of in the driving position here. They did have to use that Divine Shield on Fnaber, so I want to see I Love Lucy maybe look for another setup there, but they're going to go after Baka right now. They have a full sheep here onto Fnaber. I like this. And you get any follow-up here. Borg's in position. He gets the Hammer of Justice. Baka taking a lot of damage. You're trading out his Trinket, not choosing to use his Astral Shift. He does have his Earth Elemental out, so he did trade out the basically the same thing as the Astral Shift that the Earth Elemental can bring, and that's going to be enough. So he's going to be spacing out his defensives, but the problem is now Baka, he has to pre-Astral Shift that next setup here, or Fnaber's have to use his Trinket Sacrifice. Lucy taking massive damage there, Borog behind the pillar, stuck in a Repentance. Warwick's there, almost taking him down. Now Blackfire taking the brunt of the damage here as well. He is going to be able to survive there, not having his Cauterize forced, and he's going to get healed back up to full here. Baka still going to be the target of choice here, and it looks like Borog, oh, they get a nice Klepto counterspell here. Baka needs to use his Astral Shift here. If he gets stunned up, that could just be the game here, but nice peels by Warwick's, trading out the Fear Spam here, and that's going to save the Astral Shift. They actually do get a full Ring of Frost here on the Fnaber's though. Baka greeting it, not going to use his Astral Shift once again, but Fnaber's does come out with the wings. Baka still taking a lot of damage here. I Love Lucy trinketing out of that Lightning Lasso there, I believe, and Baka still just holding on to his cooldown basically forever with the power of Fnaber's wings there. So very nice defense there between Warwick's and Fnaber's, and now another big punish onto Lucy here, and he's gonna get topped up as well. He can get back on his target.
All right, good trade by Borog, responding to that Stormkeeper appropriately. Lucy getting on target here. Blackfire's Combustion is available. He's going to hit really hard if he chooses to pull the trigger on that cooldown. He's moving in that Vulpin form, wanting to get on target, but Baka is abusing the map. The map's backfiring a bit here. Baka just kiting on the outside perimeter, and they can't connect. Lucy getting stunned up out in the midfield. Lava Burst lobbed in. Borog dispelling off dots, trying to get Lucy aggressive. They paralyze Walrus. They're swapping to Fnaber's. No Divine Shield. He trinkets, but he might just die through it, bopping at very low health, using the gateway, getting back to the boxes. I love Fnaber's positioning, staying on that gateway, so he had a getaway. That was a nice bait by him. He manages to survive again. However, these swaps, every time they're getting closer. Baka down at half now, getting swapped back to. LF Org are becoming more unpredictable, and it's definitely making it difficult for Tegridy Damp.
Yeah, no question about it. The Paladin swap's looking really, really good. Borog, though, caught into a Fear. They have any damage from him. Baka right now looking for a Hex. Does manage to find it on Blackfire. Stormkeeper potentially used here by Baka as well. If he can get that off, there's going to be a huge hit of damage available. We're just stepping foot into dampening right now. Borog once again going for UA to spell. Lucy getting a little bit low. Forced to use the Diffuse Magic, but this is Zwen at the same time. They're trying to get aggressive here onto Baka. Can they do it? Lightning Lasso from Baka. Great positioning, just avoiding being interrupted. Walrix just still spamming out all that rot damage. Although it hasn't amounted to too much at this point of the game. Eventually, I mean, if they get long extended crowd control on Barug, forced to use the Divine Shield. And I mean, Lucy with no cooldowns might be overstaying his welcome in the open. I feel like LF Org at this point, with the lack of cooldowns they have, I feel like they gotta be a little bit more afraid, but they're just going for it, trying to take down Baka with a huge hit of damage in the remainder of that Zwen cooldown. Combustion almost available here for Blackfire, and LF Org, they might just go for it.
Ooh, Blackfire getting shut down there on his Ring of Frost attempt. No, he does land it here. Could be a lot of trouble. Baka respecting the situation. Going to be activating that Astral Shift immediately. If they can keep the chain going, though, he could still be in trouble. He doesn't have that trinket, but they are going to be able to survive that. Fnoburst coming out of crowd control. Baka, no trinket, no Astral Shift here for a little while, but Fnoburst is going to have his trinket coming back up. He has his Divine Shield as well, and Borug does have the mana lead right now, so for Tegridy Damp, they are behind. Oh, big damage on Baka here. Big swap coming in, and that's going to be the sacrifice there from Fnoburst. It didn't even have his trinket back up there, but Fnoburst just kind of charging in and trading that out preemptively, and that's going to be very nice. And now both teams here kind of equal almost here in terms of defense, and I would say the mana advantage still in LF Org's favor, so this game is not looking too bad for them, but at any moment Baka could be winning the Lava Burst lottery.
Goodbye.
And before I can finish the sentence, he gets lightning lassoed, gets propped with the Lava Burst, and sent home.
That's actually unreal. He used a touch of karma and they just shredded through. I thought it was a blessing of protection or something to remove it, but nope. They just shred through the karma, get the lightning lasso. It was just such a good setup, and they've been punishing Love Lucy on that Windwalker Monk the entire game. That's going to be a quick 3-0 from Tegridy Damp.
Oh man, Tegridy Damp going to be moving forward here in the lower bracket.